Hello. I'm just going to do a quick video to do with academic research and how I think that it's very important and very valuable. Now, quite often academics get criticised for their research in particular. We're told that we live in an ivory tower, talking down to people. We're told that we live in an echo chamber, talking amongst ourselves and just bouncing ideas off each other that perhaps aren't very applicable or interesting to those that are not in academia. We're often told that we spend too much time doing research, which is niche, not particularly interesting, not particularly valuable, and we should instead focus on doing other things. Now, my job's a lovely job. I love my job. I also appreciate that it's a very nice job to have. I'm pretty well paid. I get to work flexible hours. I have fairly long holidays, and I have quite a lot of job security, all of which, sadly, are increasingly unusual in the modern world. Although that shouldn't necessarily justify people being, jealous. Just because I've got a nice job, and maybe yours isn't great, I have in the past done a lot of shitty jobs, working in retail, a call centre, having to ring up on behalf of a charity to get people to donate money. Things like this, none of which were particularly good jobs. I wasn't particularly happy doing these. One of them I lasted half a day before I quit. Another one I lasted 9 very miserable months and had sort of an existential crisis, which then motivated me to go off and try and do a master's and a PhD, and I ended up being an academic. But during that time, even though I didn't have a great job and even though I didn't have much money and I wasn't particularly happy, I didn't go around thinking, wow, everyone that's got a better job than me should get screwed over so they're in the same boat. I don't think it fully works like that. So I never respect people that complain about the French, for example, because they have a 35-hour working week. Sounds wonderful. Why don't we copy the French rather than attacking them and belittling them? Anyway, as usual, I digress. I'd like to point out that academic research is very important and it's very valuable. So my research, for example, I look at tourism. I want to make tourism more sustainable. I also look at existentialism and narcissism, particularly of young people, Generation Y, and I want to argue that young people are not as narcissistic as they're often portrayed. They're actually really hard-working, very self-aware, very funny, intelligent and articulate, but they're a bit screwed over by the economy, by globalization, by overly indulgent parenting, by critical images that they see on social media and they unfairly compare themselves to, all these sorts of things. And that is leading to something of an existential crisis. And I think that marketing has a role in perhaps creating that existential crisis. We're promoting an unhealthy body image through advertising, all those sorts of things. But also marketing maybe can have a positive response to that. We can perhaps make people feel happier. And I very firmly believe that marketing should be about encouraging people to express themselves however they want to express themselves and hopefully make them happy, accept whatever their identity is and that their identity is fluid, and it helps to enable them to do that and makes them happier. So that's where my research is. Now, obviously, I'm not particularly important or influential. I struggle to get my articles published, and when they are published, I don't suppose that many people read them. But it is a goal that I work towards. I'll keep improving, I'll keep working hard, and maybe one day people will listen and they might respond to the ideas that I have, and they might try to have a nicer type of marketing which makes people feel better about themselves. And I think that would be therefore quite valuable research. More significantly, particularly at the moment, is that the research that I do when I go off and read in the library for hours and hours. I spent my whole summer doing loads of reading, which was a nice thing to do. I do love my job. Wouldn't be for everybody, but that's how I roll. When I go off and interview people, when I do ethnography, I go and send out questionnaires. All of this stuff that I do, I then bring into the classroom. I can teach students how to do their own market research, particularly when they're in third year or they're in their masters and they're doing dissertations. I can give them help and support. I can try and encourage them to do good quality research that will reveal interesting findings. I can give them support and advice that is very relevant when they do that. Also, I can do really good, really interesting lectures. So just this week, for example, I've done a lecture for 2 hours that was all about selfies, how people take selfies and what that reveals perhaps about people's individual personality, whether it's fair to judge people based on their social media profiles, their photographs, that sort of thing. And looking at possibilities in terms of, can we infer narcissism from this? Can we talk about it in terms of a consumer practice and what we can do as marketers to respond? Next week, we're going to be looking at existentialism because I want to move beyond narcissism. I think that is a flawed and limited way of looking at people, and instead I want to talk about existentialism. Both of those lectures I've done before. Now, I did them last year. They were really well received, really interesting. They got some really good debate going in the classroom. The students were very knowledgeable about the subject. They'd never studied it before, but they immediately were able to, get on board with it. They were able to tell me loads of information, because obviously they're experts at social media, far better than me with my slightly miserable YouTube channel that's not very well lit. And it was great. Really good debate going. They had really interesting points to make. They told me a lot about the subject that I hadn't considered or thought about. And it was really, really positive and really productive. So I'll take that away and I'll include that in my future teaching. I'll build that into my future sessions. I'll also use it to go back and do more research. I'll think, okay, I need to look into that in more detail, or I need to consider those points that they made. It's very interesting. And hopefully the students will go away and they'll think about their own social media profiles, what it says about them. Is it healthy? Are they spending an appropriate amount of time on different things? Are they doing it for good reasons that make them feel happy and confident? Or are they doing it because they feel pressured into using social media? How can they use social media to get a job in future and sell themselves in our gig economy where we have to be self-branded? And also intellectually, how can this be used in future assignments? How can they understand things like narcissism and existentialism from a marketing perspective? And how can they use that to critique advertising, marketing communications, social media, digital media, and how they can do a better job of building relationships with customers, which is of course what we're always interested in. So that's my job, essentially. I do research and I use that to inform my teaching. And I think, therefore, it's quite interesting, it's quite exciting. It's not an echo chamber because I'm talking to lots of students that are lovely in all different ages, all different nationalities. I then talk to my fellow colleagues, I talk to practitioners. It's not an ivory tower because, as I've said before, I go to work on a Northern Rail train. I walk past a lot of bargain shops to get to work. The particular university that I work at is a good one, but it's not the most prestigious. It's a post-1992 institution. It's not an ivory tower. It is literally a brown brick and asbestos tower that I work in. So, next time you're fed up with academics, I think have a bit of patience with us. I think actually we're quite nice. We do quite a good job. Our research is hopefully fairly relevant, and it can be a bit unfairly and overly criticised. Be patient. It's important and it's nice, and we're usually quite good people. Thank you for listening. That's me. That's me over and out. Have a lovely weekend.